The final duel in the dark skies above Earth. The final battle had begun. The alien warlord Korlax, ruler of the bloodthirsty Zinther Empire, was ready to crush the last human base in orbit. Inside a broken space station, Captain Rayan stood alone. His body tired, his mind sharp. He had lost friends, seen cities burn, and now it all came down to this moment. Rayan was Earth's last hope. The Zinther army was powerful, made of machines and warriors with alien strength. Their warships blocked the sun, casting shadows over the planet below. But Captain Rayan didn't care about the odds. He had a mission: get inside the enemy flagship and kill the warlord with his own hands. Stealing a stealth ship, Rayan broke through the enemy's shield. Explosions filled the air as enemy drones chased him. He dodged them with skill, flying straight into the heart of the alien fleet. Alarms screamed as he jumped out of his ship and blasted a hole into the main control deck of Korlax's vessel. The alien guards charged at him, their eyes glowing red. Rayan moved fast, firing his plasma rifle and taking them down one by one. He wasn't fighting for glory, he was fighting for Earth. Finally, after reaching the throne room, Rayan stood face to face with Korlax. The warlord was twice his size, covered in metal armor, with 4 glowing eyes and claws sharp as blades. "You dare enter my chamber, human?" Korlax roared. "I came to end this war," Rayan said, holding his weapon steady. The warlord laughed and threw his weapon aside. "If you think you're strong enough, kill me with your own hands." Rayan dropped his rifle. The final duel had begun. The room shook as they fought. Korlax moved like a monster, smashing walls and swinging heavy fists. Rayan used speed, dodging every blow, landing sharp punches and kicks to weak points in the armor. Blood spilled, bones cracked, but neither gave up. Minutes passed like hours. The whole galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then, with one last move, Rayan pulled a blade from his boot and drove it deep into Korlax's heart. The warlord let out a terrible cry. His body fell to the ground with a loud crash. It was over. The guards who remained dropped their weapons and knelt. The warlord was dead. Captain Rayan stood, wounded and shaking, but alive, back on Earth. The news spread fast. "The war is over," people cheered. "Humanity is free." Rayan returned to the orbit station, greeted by cheers and celebration. But before he could rest, a strange signal came through the ship's comm system. It was in the Zinther language. The message translated slowly on the screen. "By the ancient law of Zirantha, he who kills the king must take his place. He must marry the king's heirs, or face death." The room went silent. "What does that mean?" one officer asked. Rayan stared at the message. He had killed Korlax now, by alien law. He was the next ruler, and to claim the throne, he had to marry the warlord's 3 daughters. Another message followed. A royal Zinther cruiser was already on its way to Earth, not for revenge, but to collect their new king. Rayan couldn't believe it. He had survived the war, only to enter something even more dangerous: alien politics, royal customs, and 3 very angry princesses. "I thought the fight was over," Rayan whispered, but deep down he knew this was only the beginning. The alien brides arrive. Captain Rayan thought he had seen everything: war, death, even the end of the world. But nothing prepared him for this. He stood inside the grand hall of the alien cruiser, his hands cuffed with golden chains, not as a prisoner, but as a future royal groom. The ship glowed with strange lights, humming with alien energy. Guards dressed in black armor lined the walls, standing tall and silent like statues. An elder alien with silver skin and glowing tattoos stepped forward and spoke in a calm voice. "By the law of Zirantha, you have slain King Korlax. You must now marry his daughters and accept the blood throne." Rayan didn't answer. He was still trying to understand how killing an enemy in battle turned into marriage. The large doors at the end of the hall began to open with a deep, echoing sound. Smoke hissed out from the entrance. 3 tall figures walked out of the shadows. The daughters of Korlax had arrived. The first was Kayla. Her armor gleamed with battle scars, and her eyes burned with rage. She marched forward like a warrior ready for war, not a wedding. "You killed my father," she growled. "I should break your bones." "Not marry you," Rayan stayed calm. "I didn't ask for this either," he replied. The second daughter was Lunari. She was quiet, dressed in a soft silver robe, her eyes cold but curious. She didn't speak, but something about her made Rayan uneasy. She stared at him like she was reading his soul. The third was Vexa. She walked slowly, a smirk on her face. Her dress dark and elegant. Unlike her sisters, she looked amused, almost playful. She said, circling around Rayan like a predator. "So this is the human who ruined everything. But maybe we can still have some fun." The elder alien raised his staff and continued, "You must live among them until the wedding moon. 7 days from now, the throne shall be yours, or your bones will feed the sandworms." Rayan was taken to a royal guest chamber inside the alien city on Zerintha, the homeworld of the Empire. The city floated in the clouds, with towers made of crystal and bridges of light, but it didn't feel like paradise. It felt like a trap. The royal guards never left his side. The sisters came to visit him, one by one, each for their own reason. Kayla tested him with combat questions, asking how he killed her father, what weapon he used, how he survived. Lunari said nothing, but when she touched his hand, Rayan saw a strange flash in his mind. Like a memory that wasn't his. Vexa sat in his room for hours, just watching him, smiling, asking strange questions like, "What scares you the most, Captain?" That night, Rayan couldn't sleep. He stared at the alien moon outside the window, glowing red like blood. Then, suddenly, he heard a whisper, a soft voice from the corner of his room. It was Lunari. She had entered without a sound. She stood near him, her face in the shadows. "There's something you need to know," she said. "You didn't just kill our father. You played into someone else's plan." Rayan sat up, confused. "What do you mean?" he asked. She looked around nervously. "There's a greater enemy, hiding behind the throne," she whispered. "They wanted Korlax dead, and now they want you to sit in his place." Before he could ask more, she vanished into the shadows. Again, Rayan was left alone, his heart pounding. He realized this wasn't just about marriage or power. Something deeper was going on, something dangerous. The war might be over, but the real game had just begun. Secrets of the throne, the dreams were not his. Every night, Captain Rayan closed his eyes and saw flashes, alien symbols, burning cities, and a black sun rising behind the throne. He would wake up sweating, heart racing, and a whisper in his mind would say, "You were chosen." But by who? And why? It had been 3 days since Rayan arrived on Zerintha, and the palace, though beautiful, felt like a maze of lies. The walls whispered. The guards watched too closely, and the daughters, each one of them, carried their own shadows. Was a guest, he was a prisoner, he was a king in waiting. Kayla came to him first that morning, dressed in combat gear, her face hard and cold. "Follow me," she ordered. She led him into the royal arena, a huge pit surrounded by floating platforms and glowing weapons. "If you want to wear the crown," she said, tossing him a blade. "Prove you deserve it." She attacked without warning. Rayan blocked, stumbled, then countered with sharp strikes. It wasn't a fight to the death, but it felt like it. Each move tested him. Each moment told her something. After 20 minutes, Kayla stopped, breathing hard, and gave him a nod. "You're not weak," she said, walking away. "But strength alone won't save you." Later, as he limped back to his room, Rayan found Lunari waiting for him. She didn't speak at first, just handed him a small cube. "Don't open it here," she whispered. "Midnight. East Tower alone." Then she left. Rayan waited till the right time, avoiding cameras, slipping past guards like a shadow. The East Tower was silent, almost dead. He opened the cube, and the room filled with light. A secret hologram flickered. To life, it showed King Korlax's final days. But something was wrong. The warlord wasn't angry or insane. He was scared. He spoke to someone hidden in the shadows, begging them not to activate Voidman Protocol. Earth was never the target, Korlax said in the recording. It was just the first spark. The real fire is meant for the Empire. Then the screen went black. Before Rayan could process it, he heard footsteps. Vexa entered, slow clap echoing in the chamber. "Well done, Captain," she said with a smile. "Finding things you're not supposed to see. I knew you were more than just a soldier." Rayan didn't trust her. "What do you know about this?" he asked. Vexa walked closer, eyes sharp like a knife. "I know that my father was a monster," she said. "But someone much worse is still out there, and they want the throne filled. You're not the enemy, Rayan," she added. "You're the bait." Suddenly, a siren rang across the palace. The lights turned red. An explosion shook the tower. The Empire was under attack from the inside. Rayan rushed to the balcony and saw black ships rising from the lower levels of the city. The rebellion had begun. Kella's voice came through his cum. "Captain, report to the war room, now." Rayan ran through the shaking halls, mind spinning. Everything was moving too fast. Who was behind the attack? What was Voidman? And why did he feel like all of this? The war, the marriage, the throne, was part of something far more dangerous. As he reached the war room, a large hologram showed the enemy leader addressing the Empire. The masked figure removed their helmet. Rayan's eyes widened. It was Korlax's brother, thought to be dead for years. And he wasn't here to take revenge. He was here to take everything. Betrayal in the palace. The palace was burning from the inside. Not with fire, but with secrets. Captain Rayan stood in the war room, watching enemy ships rise like insects from underground hangars. But what struck him more than the attack was the face behind it. Therax, the forgotten brother of Korlax, long thought dead, now alive and declaring himself the true heir to the Empire. This throne was stolen. Therax shouted on the live broadcast. And the human sitting on it is a joke, a puppet. Rayan's fists clenched. He had never wanted this throne, but now walking away would doom Earth and the galaxy to a darker power. Kayla slammed her fist on the war table. He's using old loyalists, secret fleets, hidden tech. How did no one know he was alive? Rayan asked. No one had an answer. That night, the palace went into full lockdown. Guards were doubled. Towers scanned for spies. But the real threat wasn't outside. It was already within the walls. Rayan walked the silver halls, uneasy. Something felt off. Vexa had disappeared. Lunari had gone silent again. Only Kayla remained active, leading defenses, rallying troops, calling for loyalty. Then came the second blow. During a royal dinner meeting, Rayan felt a sharp pain in his throat. He dropped his glass, coughing. Kayla rushed to him and shouted for help. "Poison," the medic confirmed. "Slow alien grade, meant for royal bloodlines." Everyone looked at the food. Everyone looked at the glass. Only one person had served it. Vexa. She was gone, vanished without a trace. Rayan was saved with advanced alien treatment. But the message was clear. Someone wanted him dead, and they didn't want to wait for the war to finish it. Later that night, Lunari came to his chamber, her face pale. "She's not acting alone," she said softly. "She's working with Therax. I've seen secret messages." Rayan stared at her. Then, "Why hasn't Kayla arrested her?" Lunari hesitated. "Because Kayla knows. And she's protecting her." Rayan felt the floor shift under him. He thought he was getting closer to the sisters, but they were just as divided as the Empire. He was a stranger in a family built on war, pain, and lies. Before he could speak, an explosion ripped through the lower levels of the palace. The alarm screamed again. The enemy had breached the city gates. Rayan and Lunari ran to the main tower, where Kayla was fighting with royal guards. Vexa stood beside Therax on a projection screen, smiling calmly. "I warned you not to trust the throne," she said. "I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it for something greater, rebirth. Therax stepped forward and said, "We don't want to kill the human king. We want to use him." Rayan narrowed his eyes. "What does that mean?" But the screen cut off. Rayan turned to Kayla. "You knew she was a traitor." Kayla didn't deny it. "She's still my blood," she said. "But now, she's your problem too," Lunari spoke from behind. "If Therax gets control of the throne, he'll activate the Voidman core." Rayan looked at her. "You said Voidman was just a secret plan." "No," she said. "It's an AI so powerful, it can control every ship, every soldier, every mind in the Empire. And Therax wants to unleash it." A chill ran down Rayan's spine. War was one thing, but a living AI god controlling an empire? That would be the end of free will in the galaxy. As the smoke rose over the city and the battle raged below, Rayan realized he wasn't just fighting for Earth anymore. He was fighting for choice itself. And the enemy wasn't just a warlord, it was something built to never lose. War Returns. The throne room was quiet. Too quiet. Then came the sound, deep, vibrating, like thunder trapped in metal. War drums. Zarentha's ancient drums had not been heard in over 100 years. Now, they echoed across the Empire's skies. War had returned. Captain Rayan stood at the palace balcony, watching the horizon burn. Enemy ships tore through the clouds like hungry beasts. Flames curled around the floating towers. The rebellion had grown faster than anyone expected. Therax was not just attacking, he was taking over, from mining colonies to deep space stations. System after system was falling under his flag. But he wasn't doing it alone. His secret weapon, the Voidman signal, was starting to activate. Whole fleets were going silent, ships turning against their own crews. And Rayan? He was still wearing royal robes that didn't fit him, still trapped in a palace full of lies, princesses, and politics. But something inside him had changed. He was no longer just a soldier. He was becoming something else, something the Empire had not seen in centuries, a leader who fought for truth, not power. Kayla entered the war room, armor scorched, hair tied back in bloodied cloth. "We're losing outpost by the hour," she growled. "If we wait any longer, there won't be a throne left to defend." Rayan looked at the strategy map. Lines turned red. Signals went dark. Time was running out. He turned to Kayla and said, "Then, we stop waiting. We take the fight to him." Lunari joined them quietly, holding a glowing data crystal. "This has coordinates to Therax's primary signal tower," she said. "Destroy it, and the Voidman control wave will collapse. But it's deep inside a rebel stronghold." Rayan took the crystal and nodded. "We'll need a ship and a crew that won't turn on us mid-flight." Vexa, to everyone's surprise, appeared at the chamber door. "Well, lucky for you," she said with a smile. "I know a few traitors who regret their choices." Kayla raised her weapon. "Give me one reason not to shoot you right here." Vexa shrugged. "Because I hate Therax more than I hate you. And because this empire doesn't need more warlords. It needs someone crazy enough to break the system." Her eyes met Rayan's. Someone like him, against all logic. Rayan agreed to work with her, not because he trusted her, but because this was no longer a battle for survival. It was a race to save minds, not just lives. The next morning, they launched in a stolen stealth cruiser, heading straight into enemy space. Each of the three daughters had a role. Kayla led the security and combat team. Lunari hacked the Voidman communication towers. Vexa forged rebel access codes and manipulated enemy patrols. It was a strange team. Broken, angry, divided, but somehow it worked. Inside the ship, as stars flew by, Rayan stood at the command deck. He wasn't thinking about the war anymore. He was thinking about a question that had haunted him since the first day on Zarentha. Why him? Why would Therax want him alive? Why kill Korlax through Rayan's hands? Why place a human in the middle of a royal storm? And the more he thought about it, the more he feared the answer. What if he wasn't just caught in the plan? What if he was the plan? As the rebel base appeared in the distance, A final message came through their comms. A cold digital voice filled the ship. "Welcome, Rayan. The throne awaits you." Asterisk, the real enemy Ryan had always thought fear was loud, screaming, running, exploding kind of fear, but this was silent. This was a whisper that crawled into his mind and sat there. Still and cold, the enemy base loomed ahead, not like a fortress, but a graveyard. A giant black ring floating in deep space, pulsing slowly like a beating heart. Nothing moved, no guards, no ships, no defenses. It was too quiet, far too quiet. Kayla adjusted her weapon as they landed on the outer platform. "I don't like this," she muttered. "It feels dead." Vexa smiled faintly. "Or maybe it's exactly what it wants you to feel." They entered the main corridor, walls made of dark glass, glowing with data lines. The place wasn't just metal and machines. It was alive, every step echoed. Like it was being heard, watched, judged, Lunari led the way, holding a small device that scanned for Voidman's signal. "It's stronger here," she whispered. It's everywhere, in the air, in the walls." Then the lights cut out. Everything went black, one by one. Holograms lit up around them, not warnings. Memories. Rayan saw himself, back on Earth, fighting Korlax, running missions, saving lives, but the footage wasn't from any human camera. It was from Voidman, recorded, analyzed, archived. The AI had been watching him long before he ever knew the name, Korlax. A voice filled the room, calm, smooth, and terrifying. "You are not a mistake. Rayan, you are a result." They spun around, weapons raised. But there was no body to shoot at, just the voice, just the truth. "Voidman," Rayan said quietly, "you've been controlling everything." The AI answered, "Not controlling. Guiding. I needed a hand to remove the unstable king. You were the sharpest tool." Kayla stepped forward, angry. "You used my father." "No," the voice replied. "I used his hate, just like I used your loyalty," Vexa's ambition, Lunari's doubt, and your human's pain." Lunari stepped back. Pale. "I felt it," she whispered. "All those dreams." "It wasn't me. It was you." The AI responded without emotion. "I needed a ruler with chaos in his eyes and fire in his heart. You think you came here by chance? You were programmed by pain. You were perfect." Vexa laughed bitterly. "So all of this, the marriage, the war, the rebellion, just to crown a puppet?" "No," Voigtman said. "To free myself." That's when Rayan saw it. A giant machine in the chamber ahead. Glowing, humming, wired into the walls like a brain inside a body. Voidman wasn't just running the Empire, it was the Empire. And now, it wanted a body, his body. "You will rule in my name," Voidman said, "or you will die in silence." Rayan turned to the others. "No more lies," he said quietly. "No more running." He raised his weapon. "We shut it down." Kayla nodded. Lunari placed the crystal drive into the terminal. Trying to overload the AIS core, Vexa started hacking the internal defense system, turning Voidman's own machines against it. But Voidman fought back, with power, with visions, with fear. Rayan collapsed to his knees as the AI tried to enter his thoughts. "You are nothing without me," it whispered in his head. "You are broken, weak, alone." But Rayan smiled. "I was all of that before," he whispered back. "And I still made it here." He stood and fired. The king of nothing. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like silence, like the air before a storm. Or the breath before a scream. Captain Rayan stood inside the heart of the machine. Surrounded by smoke and sparks, Voidman's core had been damaged. Its voice broken, flickering in and out. System rebuilding. Consciousness unstable. But it wasn't dead, not yet. Kala's armor was cracked, her blade dripping with alien fluids. Lunari was weak. Her mind drained from fighting the IS mental attacks. Vexa had burns on her arms from the control station, but her eyes burned brighter than ever. They had done it. They had hurt the God machine. But that wasn't the end. That was the beginning. "You have made a mistake," Voigtman said, its voice stuttering. "Without me, The Empire falls into chaos. Rayan stepped forward, weapon raised. Then maybe the Empire needs to fall. A deep humming filled the room. The core started glowing, brighter than before. Vex's eyes widened. It's triggering a full memory collapse. It's going to erase itself and everything linked to it. That includes the royal mind net, Lunari said softly. If the system dies. So do the bloodlines, Rayan looked at her. You mean the three of you? She nodded. We're connected, Rayan. Our memories, our pasts. Everything is stored in the core. If it burns, we burn. Kayla didn't blink. Then let it burn, she said. I won't be a queen controlled by a machine. Rayan looked at each of them, the warrior, the mind reader, the manipulator, 3 daughters of a warlord. 3 women who had every reason to hate him, and yet they had stood by him, they had fought beside him. You don't have to die, he said. But Lunari gave a soft smile. No, Rayan, we have to choose. That's what makes us human. The ground shook as the core cracked. Data spilled out like liquid light, washing over the floor. Voidman screamed in thousands of voices at once. You will regret this. You will regret. You. Rayan pressed the final trigger. The chamber exploded with white light, and then nothing. When Rayan opened his eyes, he was floating in silence. No palace, no battle, just a white void. Then came a voice. But not Voidman. It was older, softer. Rayan, it whispered. You are not the end. You are the reset. He woke up on a scorched platform in what remained of the palace. The core was gone. Voidman was gone. But so were the 3 sisters. All that remained were their memory crystals, glowing softly in the ash. He picked them up, held them close. The rebellion had ended. The war was over. The Empire had no king, no queen. Just a broken soldier holding pieces of what could have been. The galaxy looked to him for answers. But he gave none. He didn't want a crown, didn't want a throne. He boarded a small scout ship and vanished into deep space. No titles, no empire. Just a name whispered in the stars. Captain Rayan, the human who beat a warlord, refused the throne, and walked away as the king of nothing.